Hello. So here is a doubt. She says I have solved the any based division by converting n1 and n2 into decimal and then dividing both to get the result and then converting the result into that specific base. Okay, but I want different approach like done in addition, subtraction, multiplication. Okay, so we know that the topic of doubt is any base division. Any base division. Okay, and we also know that this question is not available on pepcoding's website. So before solving it, we will make some assumptions. Let's write assumptions here. As oops, assumptions. So first assumption is on input. What will be the input format? I am keeping it same as of any base multiplications question. We had three inputs: base, n1 and n2. n1 and n2 were in base b. Second assumption is that, see, this is any base division, while multiplication we didn't care that if we were doing a into b or b into a, because they will give us exactly same results, and we call this property commutative property. This is some trivial stuff, but yes. And similarly in addition, a plus b will be equal to b plus a. So multiplication and addition follow commutative property. On other hand, division, a by b is not equal to b by a, and similarly a minus b is not equal to b minus a, hence these two does not follow commutative property. Okay, so we need to make a decision that what we will be doing. So I'm assuming that we will be dividing n2 from base b with n1 from base b of base b. Okay, this is b. And third assumption would be on output. This is what would be the output format. See, in division we know that we can easily come across a case where we have decimal places, right? And we haven't discussed floating numbers in the class yet, so we don't want decimal point in our output. So I'm assuming that we will print two things in output. One is quotient, another one is remainder. They also in base b. b could be any base from 1 to 9 in our case, because we are only dealing with numbers here. Okay, so with these three assumptions, first I would like to just make a simple you can say a simple flow chart of our solution, how this question demands the solution according to these assumptions only. So we have a number n1 in base b and a number n2 in base b. Okay, we want to use these numbers keeping them in base b and want to divide them. Divide n2 in base b divided from the number n1 in base b. Okay, and we know that we are having two outputs, so we will do this division in two parts. First part is n2 of base b divided by n1 of base b. We know that slash or this division operator gives us the quotient. This will be also in base b. And second part is n2 of base b divided by n1 of base b would give us this is not division, this is modulus. Sorry, this is modulus. Modulus operator gives us remainder. This will also be in base b. So this is what solution this question asks for. Okay, and okay, so who have asked this question said that she have converted n1 and n2 into decimal, then divided them and converted the result into that specific base in base b which was given. Okay, so it was her approach. First let's see that approach 1. Okay, approach 1. So what she did is n1 from base b, n2 from base b. So she first converted it into some number x1 in base 10. These number will be different but their value will be same. This is base b. Okay, and converted this also into x2 with base 10. Okay, and then in base 10 when we have these numbers in decimal, we can easily use our arithmetic operators on them to get the result. So x2 divided by x1 would give us quotient but in base 10, and here also we would do x2 modulus x1 would give us remainder, that would also be in base 10. Now we want to convert them back. So see, convert them. See, we can convert them into base b again. I'm assuming that she would have been doing it in this way. So this is also not wrong if you are doing it. If we had this question on Pepcoding's website, or if you have it in any contest where there is an online judge, they will not be able to know that how you did it, because you have same input n1 and n2 in base b, we have same input n1 and n2 in base b, and output is also same, question and remainder in base b and question and remainder in base b. But the problem here is that we are doing division in base 10. The crux of the question was doing division in any base, but what we are doing division in decimal. So it is okay to do this, answer is right, but while learning we should be focusing on exploring more and more ways to solve the same problem. Okay, so when we come across a problem that we haven't seen before, we can use our experience to find more and more solutions. So now I will discuss my approach. Approach 2. Okay, so before discussing it, I want to discuss shortly a bit of some trivial stuff. We have done anyways multiplication, and now we are doing anyways division. Some of you might be knowing that we can mimic the effect of multiplication using addition, and also we can mimic the effect of division using subtraction. How? Let's say if we are doing 2 multiplied by 3. Okay, it is also same as 3 multiplied by 2. I can do the same calculation using addition. What I can do instead of this, how we read it, 2 times 3. So I can write 2 times 3 and I can add them, or here I can do 3 times 2, 1 2 3, 3 times 2, they all give me same result, which is 6. Okay, so if I am doing 10 divided by 5, what I can do, I can place 10 here, I can subtract 5 from it, and to keep the count of how many times I have subtracted, I will maintain a variable for, let's say, count or C for now. It is initialized with 0. I can subtract it, yes, result will be 5. One subtraction has been done, so I will increment it. Now I can still subtract one more 5 from it, so I will do that, and the result is 0, and once another subtraction has been done, so now count is 2. So this is our answer, because now remainder is smaller than this number. Okay, yes, so now we can see 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, so the result is correct. Okay, let's look at another example where we have some remainder. Let's say 21 divided by 5. Okay, I can okay, same counter variable initialized with 0. I can subtract it. Yes, result is 16. I can increment it. I can again subtract it. Yes, the result will be 11. It is 2. I can again subtract it. Yes, result is 6. Increment it. Yes, I can again subtract it. Now the result will be 1. Make it 4. And this will be our remainder. And this would be our quotient. Okay. So, and we can also verify it by using this thing. We already know that dividend is equals to divisor into quotient plus remainder. This is plus. Okay, so it was 21, divisor was 5, quotient is 4 plus 1 remainder. So this is 20 plus 1 21 exactly. Okay, so now let's try to write a pseudocode for it. Okay, so some things to keep note of, that if you remember from previous slides that we were dividing n2 by n1. Okay, n2 by n1. So in this example, this is n2 and this is n1. This, okay, let me write it here. This was n2 and this was n1. n1 is constant, right? n1 is always 5 because we always have to subtract 5. So whatever the result will be there after subtraction, we will overwrite it on this n2. So this would go into n2. This is still n1. The result of subtraction will again go to n2. So after all the subtraction has been done, now the remainder is smaller than n1. This n2 would directly serve as our remainder, and our counter variable will be giving us our quotient. I hope it is clear up until here. Okay, now let's try to let's try to write a pseudocode for it, our program. Okay, we will take inputs. Obviously I'm not writing it here, only just like a comment. Okay, then see, we have to do it repeatedly, right, until this this condition comes across that n2 is smaller than n1. Okay, this will be n1 and this n1 is constant. This will be our n2. Okay, so it is obvious that we will use while loop here, because we cannot use for loop because we don't know the exact number, how many times we have to run the loop. We only have a condition, so we will be iterating it n number of times until the condition is matched. So the condition was if n2 is greater than or equal to n1. While it is true, run the code. What would be our code? Okay, so before this we were doing subtraction. Okay, and this example was in decimal. To make it clear, decimal in base 10, but we know that we are doing any base division, so these number can be in any base, so we cannot use normal subtraction here. So what we will be doing, we will be reusing our code from any base subtraction. So if you don't remember that function was something like that. Name could be anything. It was accepting 3 parameters. One was base, second was n1, and third was n2. This is a comma, and inside it somehow it was doing n2 minus n1 in base, keeping them in base b itself. Okay, we are not writing the complete code here, and after it was storing it in some variable, and it was returning that result variable. So this was the basics, kind of a pseudocode of that any base subtraction function. We only care about this, and main thing that it returns our difference of these two numbers in base b itself. And also I told you that whatever the result of the subtraction will come, we will again overwrite it in the n2. So here we would take n2 and we will make it equal to the function call, the base b, and n1 comma n2, n1 will stay constant. Whatever will be the result, we will overwrite it in n2. Now when this line will execute, we know that one subtraction has been done, and after every subtraction what we had to do, we had to increase our count. Now here is a thing which we have to take care of. You cannot only do okay, first let's initialize these variables. Let's say int quotient is equals to 0 and int remainder, because we will need it later. So you cannot simply do this quotient plus plus, okay, because this plus plus operator, what it does, it increments it by 1 but in base 10 format. So it will increase it till 9, then 10, then 11, then 12, but we are doing everything in base b. So if you know that, okay, quotient plus plus any variable plus plus, what it does, it will do quotient is equals to quotient plus 1. We actually have to increase its value by 1 but keeping it in the same base, because we have to return the result in base b itself. Okay, so what we can do, instead of doing quotient plus plus, we will use any base addition. I'm showing it here as add. It was also a similar function which was taking same parameters, and somehow it was returning us n1 plus n2. It doesn't matter how you write in plus format. Here n2 minus n1, the order matters, because n2 minus n1 will not be equal to n1 minus n2, because it does not follow commutative property. But addition, n1 plus n2 will be equal to n2 plus n1. So it doesn't matter how in which way you write it. This and this. So this was our add function. So instead of doing quotient plus plus, what we will do, we will call the quotient variable, and then we will assign a new value to quotient variable by calling this function. We'll do add b. Now n1, what we have to do, we have to add 1 to this quotient variable. So we will pass quotient, so it will have the old value of quotient, and then we will pass 1 because we have to increment it by 1. So this function now will increment quotient by 1, keeping it in base b. Okay, we are clear. I hope we are clear up until here. And okay, what we have to do next, so by doing this, our quotient is done. Now for the remainder part, where we stop the subtraction, you have to look carefully for the condition where this result we were storing it in n2. See, we were storing this result of subtraction in n2. So when n2 is less than n1, because if it is equal to, if it was 5, then we could have subtracted, if it was 5, we could have subtracted 5 from it, but it is less than 5, so we cannot subtract 5 from it anymore. So now we will stop the loop. The condition of loop was also this: while n2 is greater than or equal to n1. So what we can do, we can just stop the loop, because when we will come out of the loop, this condition would have already made n2 smaller than n1. So what we can do, we can simply store we can simply do remainder is equals to n2. Okay, because n2 will have the value which is the remaining part. Okay, in base b as well, because the calculation was done in base b. We did subtraction in base b, we did addition in base b, everything was in base b. Okay, and then we can simply print out. I'm writing in short form. We can print out CISO quotient and CISO remainder and close the while bracket, and this would work. So this is the basic funda of the program. This is the pseudocode, kind of a pseudocode. Now I have written the complete code. So I would like you to pause the video here and try the code at your own, and now I will be doing it. First you can try it at your own. See, I have already written a boilerplate code here. Okay, it does not have anything special. It is just that I have taken all the inputs for now I can remove this line, I'll explain it later. So I'm just I've created a scanner, took three input, base, n1, n2, and this is just a comment to again make sure that we are dividing n2 by n1. This is how we used to write in our notebooks in our childhood. Okay, and this would be our question. So I have already pasted these codes here. These are the exact same functions from Sumit sir's class. Get difference function is the subtraction function, any base subtraction function, and this is any base addition. Okay, now what we had to do, while, what was the condition for while n2 is greater than or equal to n1. Okay, and inside it what we were doing, we were overwriting n2 by calling the difference function. What we had to pass in difference function, you need to look into the order of the parameters. Okay, order matters. So we have to pass base, then the number n1 and the number n2. It will subtract n1 from n2 and will give the result which will be stored in n2 itself. So now subtraction has been done. What we had to do, increase the count variable, and we haven't created a count variable, so let's create it now. Int quotient is equals to 0, also make the remainder variable. Okay, now we could have done this, but this will increment it in decimal, so let's instead use get sum function. Make it quotient is equals to get sum b comma quotient comma 1, because we have to just add 1 in it. Okay, this has been done, and after while loop what we can simply do, as we have already discussed, after that we can simply assign the value of n2 into the remainder, and we can just print our output. Okay, simply to remainder is equals to n2. Okay, and we have to print it out. So system dot out dot print line quotient and remainder. No input. First let's try to run it for decimal. Divide by in base 10, divide by 10, divide 105. 105. So quotient should be 10 and remainder would be 5. Yes, quotient is 10, remainder is 5. Now we can check it for some other bases as well. Let's try to do octal division calculator. Let's use an online octal division calculator, and we'll say take some input. Let's say we do, let's take a big number. So 7, this 7 is an, okay, 7 is a valid octal digit. Okay, 7654. Let's divide it by 16. Both are valid octal numbers. Remove the decimal place, we need 0 decimal place, and find. It will take time. It will take 14 questions. Till when we can look at our question. Let's try to give it some other input. Let's say 203. Yes, it is giving our correct output. Okay, so please wait for one more second. If we do this, we will get 436 quotient and remainder would be 10. Let's do this. 7654 divided by 16 in base 8, divide by 16. Okay, let's do this. What was the output? 436 and 10. 436 and 10. Yes, it is working. You can check it for more inputs. but yes, it will work for any base and any input, because we have taken care of every corner case by using these functions, that every calculation is done in base b itself, so it should be fine. I hope that you have got how I did it, and if you have any suggestion or any criticism, you can comment down below. Thank you.